Welcome to Heartbreak Chronicles. The door closed heavily behind Emma, her heels making a crisp sound on the tiles of the hallway. A chill swept through the air, not from the cool breeze outside, but from the tense atmosphere between her and Nathan. Nathan leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed, eyes as cold as iron. Emma, did you really think you could just waltz out of here like that? Nathan's voice cut through the silence, anger dripping from every word. Emma applies bright red lipstick to the mirror and chimes in with a sneer, not stopping in her tracks at all. Nathan, we've already talked about this. I'm going out and there's nothing you can do about it. Her tone was careless, without guilt or hesitation. Nathan took a step forward, his fists clenched at his side. You think I'm going to stand by while you and that man flail around? His name is William, she corrected, adjusting her skirt perfectly. And yes, I think you would, because I know you, Nathan, and you don't have the balls to leave me. And we both know what would happen if you tried to do that. Nathan's jaw tensed. Do you think I'm afraid of you, Emma, that I won't file divorce papers? Her laughter echoed through the room, cold and contemptuous. You won't, because you know I'll get the house, the kids, everything, and you'll have to pay for it all, and I'll live my life, you know? I won't even let you see Oliver and Sophie unless you pay. Nathan's breath hitched, but he forced himself to keep his voice steady. And what will they think when they realize what you're doing? When they realize you're willing to ruin their lives for a fling? Emma's expression didn't move. She even looked a little bored. Nathan, don't play the morality card. You can try to impress me with guilt, but I know how this is going to end. And you're going to accept it because you don't have a choice. And when I get back tonight, we're going to talk like adults about how this arrangement is going to work. She turned to leave, but Nathan's voice made her pause where she was. If you walk out that door now, don't expect me to be here when I come back. Emma paused for a second and turned her head over her shoulder to offer a fake smile. Oh, Nathan, you'll be there. You're too weak to leave. With that, she left, leaving Nathan standing alone in the cold silence of the room. But as the door clicked shut, something new flared in Nathan's eyes, determination. He reached down and pulled out his cell phone and dialed a number he thought he'd never have to use. Nathan waited, the phone pressed to his ear, each ring like a countdown. Finally, a hoarse, familiar voice picked up. Nathan, long time no see. Yes, Lucas, it has been a long time indeed, and I need your help, not as a friend asking for it, but as a desperate man. Nathan's voice was low, urgency in every word. There was a pause on the other end of the line. Lucas is the kind of guy who never intervenes unless it's serious. What happened? Nathan looked around the empty living room and suddenly felt the silence in the house was suffocating. Emma screwed everything up. She's got a new guy named William. I don't care about him, but she's threatening to take the kids. Using them as leverage, Lucas, I have to protect them. I can't let her ruin their lives just because she's crazy. Lucas's voice became stern. You know what you're asking me to do, don't you? You remember what happened the last time we were involved in something similar? Nathan took a deep breath and steadied himself. Past memories flashed through his mind. Nights he'd rather forget, people he'd rather not remember. But not this time. I know, but I'm not looking for anything illegal. Just keep an eye out for me. I need to know what she's planning, who she's contacting. Do you still have those connections? Yes, but this could get tricky, very tricky. Lucas replied, his tone cautious. What if Emma finds out? She won't find out, and even if she does, I don't care anymore. She crossed the line tonight, Lucas. I'm tired of playing this game safe. Nathan's voice trembled with frustration. He was tired of pretending everything was okay, tired of being trampled on. Lucas sighs, then lets out a soft, helpless laugh. Okay, Nathan, I agree. I'll make a few calls and round up some of the old crew, but you'd better be sure you want to do this because once you start, there's no turning back. Nathan gripped the phone. Trust me, I'm ready. Meanwhile, Emma steps into the neon-lit bar where William is waiting, his dashing smile framed by a leather jacket. The music vibrated through the speakers and the air was filled with talk and laughter and merriment. As soon as William sees Emma, he nods confidently and raises his glass in greeting. Hey, beautiful, you're really here, he teased, scooting closer as Emma sat down next to him. I thought you'd back out at the last minute." Emma threw him a wink and put her hand on his arm. "No way. I'm tired of Nathan controlling my life. I need a real man, someone who won't tie me down." William showed a bad smile, but there was a flash of curiosity in his eyes. "Speaking of which, do you really think Nathan would just let it go?" Most men wouldn't sit idly by if they found out their wives had started dating someone new while still living under the same roof. Emma laughs, but with an edge to her laughter. "He's nothing to be afraid of. Trust me, he talks a great game but never takes action. He's too predictable." William raised an eyebrow, a hint of skepticism passing through his features. "Are you sure it's worth the risk? You're not exactly rich without him." Emma leaned into his ear, a smile curling the corner of her mouth. "That's why I have a plan. Follow me, and we'll be living it up in no time." Unable to resist her confidence, William shrugged and clinked his glass with hers. But even as he celebrates, he can't shake the feeling that Emma underestimated her husband. Nathan may seem all bark and no bite, but William's instincts tell him he can't ignore the hunches that keep him safe. Back at the house, Nathan was working as fast as he could. He went straight to the basement and found a dusty metal box under a pile of old tools. It contained some papers, a few small electronic devices, and a spare cell phone, relics of a past he swore he would never revisit. But times of crisis call for extreme measures. He dialed a number on his spare cell phone, and the call was picked up after only one ring. "Nathan, what's the situation?" It was the voice of another old acquaintance, Marcus, now a security specialist. "Marcus, I'm going to need some equipment, maybe something to listen in on phone calls, or a couple of trackers. You know, just to follow Emma's movements and see who she contacts." Nathan's tone was firm, without hesitation. Marcus let out a low chuckle. "I see you haven't forgotten to play these backroom tricks. Okay, I'll send a package over. It'll be here in the morning." "Thanks, and Marcus, don't mention this to anyone. Not yet." Nathan's voice softened, sensing the weight of the situation. "Got it, bro. Just don't get yourself in too deep." A strange calm enveloped Nathan as he ended the call. For the first time in months, he felt like he was taking back some control. Whatever hold Emma thinks she has on him, she'll soon realize she's dead wrong. By the time Emma got home, it was after 3 in the morning. She was slightly drunk, a smug smile on her lips. But as soon as she entered, she sensed something was wrong. The living room light was on, and Nathan was waiting for her in the armchair, like a shadow in the dim light. "Yo, finally wanted to get up and go home." His tone was unusually casual. Emma stopped walking, her smile faltering slightly. "Nathan, don't start." "Oh, I didn't start anything, just wanted you to know how things would go." He stood up, his eyes locking onto hers. "You thought I would give in, but you were wrong, Emma. I'm tired of letting you trample on me." She raised her eyebrows, but Nathan saw a flash of uncertainty in her eyes. "You want to scare me? With what? You have nothing." Nathan let out a slow, relentless laugh. "Is that so? I have some friends who are much better at finding out the truth than you think, and I'm not going to let you get the kids involved in this mess." Anger and another emotion, something close to fear, flashed in Emma's eyes, but she masked it with a sharp laugh. "You think your little buddies are going to change anything? I'll still get the house, the money, everything, and you know how the system works." Nathan took a step closer, his expression turning cold and hard. "Really, we'll see then, because this time I won't go down without a fight." For a moment, the tension between them crackled like electricity, and no one moved, all trapped in a dangerous game where the stakes were higher than ever. But this time, Nathan won't be the one to back down. Emma is about to find out how far he can go to protect what matters most. Nathan didn't sleep that night. He spent the entire early morning hours combing through old contacts to establish a secure communications network with Lucas and Marcus. By dawn, an unassuming package arrived at his door. Inside were several compact devices, 2 bugs, a tracker, and a hard drive loaded with software Marcus had customized for him. He scrambled. Emma was still asleep upstairs when he slipped outside and carefully mounted the tracker under the bumper of her car, making sure to hide it where she would never think to look. Then he put a bug in her handbag in order to intercept what she thought was a private conversation. Nathan returns to the house and sets up a makeshift command center in the basement. He launches the software, connects the device, and immediately hears the static noise turn into the soft hum of an Emma cell phone call. He took a deep breath and prepared to face what he was about to discover. Meanwhile, Emma's morning began with an indescribable restlessness. Nathan's new attitude bothered her more than she cared to admit, but she buried the feeling and started her day. She drops the kids off at school, kisses them on the cheek as if it's business as usual, and then speeds off in her car to meet William and bump into him at a cafe near his work. She arrived to find William already waiting for her, stirring the coffee. He noticed the tension in her eyes as she entered the seat across from him. "Bad morning?" he asked, raising an eyebrow. Emma forced herself to smile, pinning a strand of loose hair behind her ear. "Yes, Nathan, he's acting different, more confident, like he knows something and I don't." "William, get close and keep your voice down. Maybe he does know something. Are you sure he didn't find out about your plan?" She waved her hand in contempt. "He's just bluffing. He doesn't have the guts to actually take action." But doubt swept across her face as she said this, and William caught it. He took a sip of his coffee and watched her carefully. "Maybe we should be cautious. You don't want him to get suspicious." Emma rolled her eyes, though her smile was a little forced. "Relax, William. I'm in control." In the basement, Nathan listened to every word, clenched his teeth, and let his thoughts race. He forced himself to stay focused. If he acted too soon, he'd spook a snake. So he continued to listen to them talk, absorbing every detail. He found William not just on a whim, but as a partner in Emma's scheme. They're talking about finances and how they're going to completely exclude Nathan. Nathan felt a surge of anger rise up, but he pushed it down and focused on the long-term plan. This time, Emma won't see him fight back. The next night, Nathan called Lucas with tension in his voice. "She's planning something big, Lucas, her and that William. They're plotting to empty me of my money. They're even looking into offshore accounts." Lucas let out a low whistle. "This is serious, Nathan. You need to take countermeasures before she cuts you off from everything." "I know. That's why I need you to do something more direct for me. We need to put pressure on her to think twice before she takes action." Lucas hesitated. "What are you thinking?" Nathan glanced at the old map pinned to the basement wall, a relic from his past life that suddenly seemed significant at the moment. "Remember that safe house out in the countryside? The one we used when things got dicey overseas?" "Yes, I remember. You were trying to hide the children there?" Nathan nods, even though Lucas can't see it. "Just for a few days until I figure out the next step. I don't trust her or William to settle down." Lucas was silent for a moment, then said in a firm tone, "Okay, Nathan, I'll make the arrangements, but if you're going to go down that road, you've got to be ready for whatever happens next." Nathan's voice hardened. "I'm ready, and I'm not going to let Emma win." 2 days later, everything was working. Nathan picks up Oliver and Sophie from school early and tells the principal about a family emergency. He loaded the kids into the SUV and forced a smile as he told them it was a surprise adventure. They reached the safe house, a remote cabin deep in the woods, at dark. The kids were so excited that they thought it was some kind of vacation. Nathan matches them, plays a movie for them, and then walks outside to meet Lucas, who has arrived with the squad. Lucas crossed his arms and glanced at the cabin. "Nice setup. How long do you plan on keeping them here?" "Until I have enough leverage against Emma. I'm going to give her a taste of what it feels like to be out of control," Nathan replied, his eyes hardening. "She thinks she can tear us apart, but I'm not going to give her that chance." Lucas nods, but looks uneasy. "Are you sure this is what you want, Nathan? This could get ugly fast." Nathan took a deep breath and stared into the darkness of the woods. "It's ugly enough, Lucas. I'm just trying to survive." Meanwhile, Emma sits in the kitchen, anxiously swiping at her phone. It was almost 10 p.m. She hadn't heard from Nathan all day, the kids hadn't come home from school, and his car wasn't in the driveway. She tried calling his cell phone, but it went straight to voicemail. A sharp fear swirled in the pit of her stomach. She picked up her cell phone again and shakily dialed her mother's number, panic in her voice. "Mom, I think something's wrong. Nathan took the kids and he won't answer my calls." My mother's voice rattled with worry on the other end of the phone. "Emma, what are you saying? He took the children? Are you sure he wasn't trying to scare you? Emma clenched her teeth. I don't know. He's never done anything like this before. I don't know where he is. I can't lose Oliver and Sophie. Not like this. Her mother hesitated, then suggested gently, Honey, you might need to call the police if he did take them. Emma gulped, her thoughts racing. She wasn't ready to do that. Calling the police meant losing control, and she couldn't afford that right now. No, she replied quickly. Not yet. I'll take care of it. I just need to find out where he's hiding them. After ending the call, Emma grabbed her handbag and rushed to the door. But as she walks out, she doesn't notice the evasive figure across the street. One of Lucas' men, watching her every move closely. That very night, at the cabin, Nathan was sitting on the porch with the phone in his hand. He called Marcus, who picked up on the second ring. Get anything out of that bug yet? Nathan asked, his voice lowered. Oh, I got plenty, Marcus replied with a grim smile. Emma's going crazy looking for you. She called that William 3 times, and she's definitely thinking about calling the police. Nathan nodded to himself, a somber satisfaction creeping in. Good, keep monitoring. If she makes any moves, I need to know first. Understood. But Nathan, be careful. She might fight back if you push too hard. Nathan's eyes twinkled in the darkness. Let her come. This time I'm ready to deal with whatever she has to offer. The next day, Emma meets William in a dingy bar on the outskirts of town, stress written all over her face. She clutched his arm, desperation in her voice. Nathan's gone completely insane, William. He's got the kids somewhere. I can't find them, and everything we've planned is falling apart. William frowned and pulled her into a secluded bay. We can figure it out, but you need to stay calm. Panicking will only lead to mistakes. Emma bit her lip, anger flashing in her eyes. We don't have time to calm down. We have to find them before he does anything drastic. But just as she spoke, she noticed something. An almost invisible dark spot on the edge of the handbag. Her heart skipped a beat, and she quickly turned her back, pretending to rummage through her bag. What's wrong? William asked, noticing her abnormality. Emma squeezed out a tight smile. Nothing. I need to go to the restroom. She slipped away, her mind spinning. She locked herself in her cubicle, ripped the bug off her handbag, and crushed it under her heel. So, Nathan, you want to play dirty? She muttered to herself. Fine. Let's see how you cope. Emma left the bar in a rage, her thoughts racing. She underestimated Nathan, and now she's backed into a corner. But she hasn't given up yet. She calls William and orders him to meet her at the house. They need to quickly develop a plan for the next step. William showed up an hour later, but the atmosphere was tense. Emma's anger is almost palpable and William is on the edge of his seat, unsure of how far things will go. They paced the dimly lit living room, Emma complaining angrily about Nathan's sudden change of heart. We have to find him, William, and if he thinks he can hide the kids from me, he's sorely mistaken, she hissed, her nails sinking deep into her palms. William raises his hands in an attempt to calm the situation. Okay, well, let's not do anything rash. Maybe we can check his financial records to see if he's made any sudden withdrawals or rented a place. I know someone who can help us track him down. A glimmer of hope flashed in Emma's eyes. Do it, by all means, find them. At the cabin, Nathan gets an alert from Marcus that Emma has found the bug. But she didn't give up, and Nathan clenched his teeth, knowing that she would soon take more aggressive action. He checked on the kids who were playing the board game Lucas had brought along, braced himself to smile at them, and then stepped outside to think. Lucas greeted him on the porch and handed him a cup of coffee. She's not going to stop, is she? Nathan shook his head and looked into the woods. No, but she doesn't know what we've prepared, and I'm going to make her realize how far she's pushed me. Lucas took a sip and glanced at him. Are you ready? Ready to face what happens next? Nathan looked back at the cabin as the sound of children's laughter drifted out of the open window. I have to be ready for them. Emma and William's search takes them to a private investigator who specializes in finding people who don't want to be found. But thanks to the information Lucas' team continues to provide, Nathan anticipates their every step. When Emma arranges a meeting with her solicitor to discuss the emergency guardianship order, Nathan is already waiting outside, documenting the process. He sends the footage to Marcus, who hacks into William's financial records. Within hours, Nathan has everything he needs: proof of suspicious money transfers, and Emma and William discussing how to cut off his email. He sent the file to Emma's cell phone with a simple message: "You want to play dirty? Here are my cards." Emma froze when she saw the message, and when she opened the file, her face turned instantly pale. She turned to William, her hands shaking. "He knows everything now. He has proof, and he will destroy us." William's face grew grim, and the tension between them strained. "You dragged me into this mess, Emma, and none of this would have happened if you'd taken control of the situation." Back at the cabin, Nathan gets a call from Emma. When he answered, his voice was calm and firm. "I see you got my message." Emma's voice trembled, her anger barely suppressing the panic. "Nathan, you can't do this. We can work something out. Give me the baby and we'll go our separate ways. You don't have to do this." Nathan let out a bitter laugh. "After what you've done, you think I'm just going to hand them over to you and let you get away with it all? No, Emma, it's over. I've filed for full custody and you won't see them again." "You think I would let that happen?" She snapped, but there was already desperation in her voice. "You don't have a choice," Nathan replied. "I have all the evidence, the money, the lies, the affair, and I'm not going to lose this time." He hung up and threw the phone away. Inside the house, the children were still waiting for him, oblivious to the war going on around them. Nathan walks in and hugs them tight. He knew it wasn't the end, just a new beginning. But this time he was finally in control. A few days later, Nathan received the news he had been waiting for. The court granted him temporary custody pending the outcome of an investigation into Emma's behavior. He couldn't help but feel a sense of relief, despite knowing that the real battle was far from over. Emma, faced with the reality of losing everything, makes a last desperate move. She called the police claiming Nathan had kidnapped the children. But when the police arrived at the cabin, Nathan was ready to go. He produced legal documents proving his right to protect the child, and Emma's allegations fell apart in the face of his evidence. When the police left, they warned her to stay away. Emma stood at the edge of the woods and watched as Nathan escorted the children back to the cabin, his arm wrapped protectively around their shoulders. Her anger turned into bitter tears as she realized she had lost. Nathan is no longer the man she could manipulate, and now she has nothing but the ruins of her own scheming. William, unwilling to be drawn into this crumbling life any longer, leaves the city unnoticed. He's not going to pay for the coming storm. After a few months, Nathan and the kids settled into their new home. The past has not been forgotten, but it has been left behind. He never wanted this fight, but he fought for the right reasons. For his children, for their future. As he watched his children laugh and play in the backyard of their new home, he knew it was all worth it. Emma, on the other hand, faces a very different future, one in which she loses everything she thought she controlled and one in which she has to face the consequences of her actions. She may have lost the game she started, but Nathan will never forget the price they all paid for it. For once, when Nathan looks back, he can finally let go of the past. He's built a new life with his children, and while the scars are still there, they're healing. Emma's betrayal teaches him a harsh but necessary lesson. Sometimes the greatest strength comes from knowing when to fight back and how far you can go to protect the ones you love. After all of this, Nathan found himself a stronger man. Not out of hatred or bitterness, but because he'd finally found the strength within him. The kind of strength that didn't need anyone else's approval, the kind of determination to fight for what was right. And Emma, she carries the weight of her choices alone. Her calculations, her betrayals, eventually backfired on herself. It's not just the house and the money she lost. It's the things she can never get back. The trust of her children, the family she once had, and the different life she could have chosen. As the sun set, Nathan stood on the porch of his new home, looking out at the distant horizon. This home may not be as big as it used to be, but it's full of the things that really matter: laughter, honesty, and love. He knew the road ahead wouldn't always be smooth, but at least now, they were on the right path. And this time, when he turned to walk inside, he was greeted not with silence and skepticism, but with the laughter of children and the warmth of a real home. That's the end of today's story. For more captivating tales, hit subscribe and never miss an episode.